Okay, so today I have a presentation on the Cold War and the space race. I'm going to first talk a bit about the Cold War and what happened in the beginnings of the Cold War, and then touch more on the space race, cover the space exploration in general, and then I'll dive more deep into the creation of NASA and other missions that were made. So let's get started with where it all started. So the Cold War was a result after World War II due to the lingering tension between Russia and the United States. Even though the two nations fought aside one another in World War II, the United States was always very careful regarding the bloodthirsty, aggressive Soviet leader Stalin. Additionally, the Soviet Union had some hard feelings regarding the US and our late entry into World War II. So although we were, together fighting it together in World War II, we both had some weird feelings regarding each other. The Soviets were mad at, the United States for entering into World War II late, costing many Soviet lives. They believed that if we were to have entered a lot earlier, that they wouldn't have lost as many lives. So they had some hard feelings regarding us. And Stalin was kind of a crazy guy, so the US was always very careful and always very considerate of the choices he was going to make next and stuff like that. And so from that point on, the US and Russia, or the Soviet Union, were amidst the Cold War. And it's important to note that the Cold War didn't actually involve any fighting between the nations. It was more so just a time of tension and fear that people experienced. I know it says the Cold War, but it was just a very intense, scary time. Kind of like a real war, so that's why it's called war. Nukes. So nukes and nuclear warfare was kind of a huge part of the Cold War. It was pretty much the overarching theme, I feel like. So an arms race of sorts was in effect after the US showed support for the nuclear weapons that were used to end the war in World War II. As we all know, the United States decided to nuke or bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end World War II. And we celebrated, which it sounds kind of crazy, but we celebrated that time, and there was support for the bombs because they ended the war. We did it, great for us. But all that celebration would soon lead to the Cold War, and it would be a very scary time. It was short-lived because the Soviets were like, dang, we need to start testing. So the Soviets tested their own atomic bomb, and the US grew increasingly worried, and then claimed that we were working on a super bomb of sorts, more specifically a hydrogen bomb, or H-bomb, they called it. And so the testing that went on instilled fear in everyone worldwide, because the Soviets were testing their own atomic bombs, and we were testing our new H-bomb, whatever. So the destruction caused by these bombs was unfathomable. And our new H-bomb had the ability to destroy half of the city of Manhattan, which is extremely scary. The Cold War was all about being scared, and that was a terrifying time for everyone, for anyone in society. And as the fear spread throughout the nation, people began building bomb shelters in their own backyards, and schools were practicing drills regarding bombings. And oh god, media portrayed what life could be like if nuclear war began. They did this through movies, portraying what radiation could do to human life and all these scary things that just put more fear, unnecessary fear, into society. And it was awful. It was stupid that they were, whatever. So yeah, putting yourself in the shoes of these people at the time. I can't imagine not knowing or being so. I'm a very paranoid person, so being paranoid that any moment a bomb could just land or something. It was a terrifying time. If you were actually put yourself in those shoes, it'd be terrifying. Moving on to space. So the beginnings of space. And all while the tension between the two nations were growing, there were other milestones being made. The Soviet Union sent the first satellite named Sputnik. I think it's Sputnik, which is called Traveler, or which is Traveler in Russian, into Earth's orbit. And now society had many ideas of how space could affect warfare, and as the U.S. witnessed the Soviet Union gaining a lead on space exploration with Sputnik, we grew extremely anxious. There were ideas about, space warfare, military warfare in space, and how, if they were to combine into one, what on earth could happen, sending nukes into space to be sent back down, that's a whole other topic that scared people even more. And so with our increasing anxiety, we set space as a high priority. And we made a pretty quick big leap in the progress of space exploration, as we set our first satellite into Earth's orbit in 1958, which was all under the direction of Wernher von Braun. I feel good saying that. That's probably not how you pronounce it, but he was a rocket scientist that was in charge of a lot of space programs, I guess, in many institutes throughout the U.S. or whatever. And so in that same year of, one second, my microphone is going to die. I'm gonna just plug it in really quick. Okay, sorry. In the same year of the U.S. launch. Gosh, so many technical difficulties. In the same year of the U.S. launching their satellite, wow, that was NASA, or National Aeronautics and Space Administration, I feel fancy saying that, was created. So, yay! Thus, the space race began. I put the space race in caps and italicized because I think it sounds pretty cool, obviously. Let's move on to progress in space. So the Soviets proved their lead in space as they sent the first man into orbit in April of 1961. However, it's clear that they had a lead in space, but it was only until May of that year when the U.S. sent Alan Shepard into space. He wasn't in orbit, but he was sent into space, which is a huge milestone for us, and we grew very confident from that. And we had bigger plans, and we had major plans of space, so far that President John F. Kennedy claimed that we will make it to the moon by the end of the decade, which is a huge claim. Again, putting yourself in the shoes of a societal member of that time, looking at the moon from outside, and then hearing John F. Kennedy say, we'll make it, we'll be up there by the end of the decade. We will. I mean, again, crazy to think. Of course, it's not as crazy to think about now, but, as someone back then, it was crazy to think about. It was scary to think about that someone's going to be out in space all the way up on that moon up there. Weird. I could talk about it forever. So, will we make it to the moon? You'll find out in the next sentence. The president's claim became true when in 1969, Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. The U.S. had officially beat the Soviet Union in the space race. Yay! We won we won kind of, I guess. So after we beat them in the space race, in all quotes, astronauts were praised. There was a lot of stigmas or negative stigmas or surrounding space and space exploration and funding space because it's very risky. No one knew if things were going to be actually achieved in space. So they considered funding, not funding. It was very scary. So when we did beat them in the space race, astronauts were praised, especially by the ladies, and it was a good time. It was a very good time for space in general, which is awesome. And we have the famous, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," a quote by Neil Armstrong, the first man to step on the moon. And at the bottom here, Gnortzmer alien. Gnortzmer alien. What could that be? Neil Armstrong backwards. Yes, Neil Armstrong, the first man to step on the moon. His name backwards has alien in it. Just think about that for a second. Pretty crazy. Sorry, I just think it's funny. Alright, This is where we kind of go in a little bit more into in depth with NASA and other missions. So the creation of NASA. NASA started off with around 8,000 employees and a yearly budget of 100 million, 3 research buildings and 2 testing facilities, all of which would increase. NASA would soon branch off and collaborate with many other organizations and research teams, and the 8,000 employees would increase to around, I think, like 35,000 by the time of the Apollo 8 mission. And with the launch of the Project Apollos, which I'll touch on later, don't worry, the budget definitely had to increase upwards to like 250 million or something like that. So yeah, things increased pretty rapidly, but some of the first tasks that NASA had planned to tackle were, I think these are so cool because it's like that this is what they wanted to do so bad, and now we're doing bigger and crazier things now today. So they wanted to conduct more research to enhance air transport safety and efficiency, remote sensing Earth satellites for efficient information gathering. That's kind of a mouthful. The creation of the Skylab, and they wanted to create a shuttle of sorts to travel in and out of space and transport in and out of space, which would soon become the very famous space shuttle. Moving on to the Apollo mission. So once Project Apollo became a high priority for the U.S., they wanted to show the nation's technological superiority and stamina. So like, we wanted to flex on, everyone worldwide. We wanted to show that we are, big contenders, or not contenders, I guess, but just like, we were big in the space exploration. We got this. Like, we are high up there. We're going to make these, we're going to make achievements or whatever. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my flow of things. Of course, there were setbacks. One notably major setback and tragedy occurred during a launch simulation in 1967 when a spacecraft caught on fire and 3 astronauts were killed, all just during a simulation. Tragic and very sad. People were not happy, of course. I mean, who would be? But their deaths were accounted for later on with the huge achievements made. Rest in peace to those 3 astronauts, and let's thank them, as much as we can for what they did for us, whatever. And moving on to Apollo 8. I'm getting like teary-eyed. Okay, Apollo 8 is the very famous mission when Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. Of course, and another famous Apollo mission was Apollo 13, when after setting off for the moon, that Apollo 13 spacecraft had combusted mid-flight, and all spacecraft members managed to survive. And this kind of brings us into like how cool space exploration and NASA and all these other institutes are with their, determination and ability to overcome these huge setbacks in space. It's really cool. I don't know. I just find it really awesome. It's a really great motto to live by when it's overcoming or learning from your mistakes is an awesome motto to live by, and everyone should be. So it's really cool. I feel like that's what space is all about. These setbacks only help us to, I don't know. I just think it's really great. And now we move on to oh gosh, you can see that. Okay. Now, these pictures sometimes get me emotional because it's crazy to think about, what we had back then and what we have now. So I want to end this off with asking, or just making you, or having you question where we would be today without, the Cold War. Because the Cold War is really what set NASA off and set all these projects off. And would life be the same, space exploration wise, or would we be far behind? Would we not even care about space today if the Cold War never happened? I don't know. It's crazy to think. It's crazy to think about, because our history played through where we would travel into space and explore space. But if if the Soviet Union and the U.S. were in good terms, would we have ever even tried? I don't know. I think we probably would have, but it's just cool to think about. So that's where we're gonna end off. Here are the sources. I hope this is in good quality and my mic is okay. thank you, and happy space exploring.